Hello everyone, and welcome to another video about Swift. This time it's going to be about SwiftUI. I'm going to start new lectures for my students that will cover SwiftUI, and this is the first one that we're going to cover. Today's lesson, it's all about stacks. We're going to talk about stacks, ZStacks in particular, horizontal stacks, and how to use them to create something like this. In addition to that, we will talk about modifiers. We will talk about SF symbols, emojis, and how to create your own color. All right, so I thought to show you all these things, the best thing to do is to create an app that would have something like this. So we have an image, a photo of the beach, and this is a real image. Now we added to this like a cloud, thick cloud. Then we have also surfers. I love the beach, so I thought would be something cool to do something related to the beach. I have a ball here and I have a ball here. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on the side here for a minute, and we're going to create an Xcode project. Now you already know how to create an Xcode project. I already created an Xcode project, and let me show you what the project looks like. So when you first create the project, create a SwiftUI project, you will get a free code. This is the free code that it comes with the project. And this is what the output, the canvas would look like. All right, so if you look here, we have a lot of work to do to get this to this here. So in the project, in the asset, I have an image. So I have that image, same image that we're going to use in here. But the rest of it are just symbols. So these are emojis. This is an SF symbol. This is an emoji. And I'm going to discuss these in more details a little later. Okay, so let's get started with this project. So in the SwiftUI, you have the content view. And it's a struct, it's all about structs, so it's a structure, and the type of it is a view. And now I already have some VStacks and I have some padding. I'm going to delete those things here. Be careful not to delete that last bracket. And I'm going to hide this for a minute. We'll get an error, that's fine. But I'm going to hide this for a minute, and let's do the image. Okay, so how do we get the image to show in the screen? Now, I have an image already, as I said, here it's called beach. You can do any image you want. So if I go to the content view again, and then I just simply add an image. So if I say an image, and then the name of it is beach. All right. Now, it looks good. It covered everything. Fine. Okay. But now we need to do a little bit, we need to do to adjust this image a bit. Now you notice the beach didn't look like that. This is just portion of the image. So how can I resize this image, make it fit the screen? Let's try different things. So for example, each view, this is a view, each view has a modifier. So have modifiers, not a modifier. So for example, an image, you can make it resizable. What does that mean? It means that it would resize the image and it will try to fit, it will fit it, whatever device that you have selected to. This is right now is iPhone 14 Pro, so it will fit it according to the device that you are working with. All right. You notice that when we resized it, now I have this area. This is called safe area. Okay, we have safe areas here. Now I can add another modifier to ignore these safe areas. But before we do that, we're going to try to fill it. We're going to try to fill the entire screen. So there is another modifier we can use, which is scale to fit, to fill, and scale to fit. Okay, scale to fit, it will try to fit it inside the content view of that or whatever stack, whatever that content view is. So, but here we have, I want to try to fill the entire screen, and then I will say scale to fit. That's fine. But watch what will happen now. If I say ignore, safe area, and now it should fit the entire screen. So that's the first thing. Okay, cool. So we got our first background image. Now, if we take a look at the other, let's just make that again and show the what we were working with, show the simulator. So, okay, that's good, but I want to add like this cloud, for example. How can I add a cloud? Okay, let's try that and see what happens. So now if I add another cloud, okay, now let me, before we get to that, I want to introduce you to something called SF symbols. Now, if I go to Google, Safari, whatever you like, say, let's open Safari and type in SF symbols. You can see it's right here. And this is done by Apple, and it's a great resource for developers. Why? Because it tells you that it gives you tons of images, 4,400 symbols. Now, the nice thing about these symbols, they are vector graphics. That means you can change it, you can modify them, you can make them bigger, and it will continue to keep the same dimension, sizes, whatever you want to call it. And then you can change the color, whatever color you want for these SF symbols. So you download this. These are vector colors. Okay, so you can download this, and now it's available on your device. And then you can simply, once you download it, I'm just going to show you what you can do with it. So if I go in here and type in SF symbols, you will get, here is this symbols here. And now what you have tons of images that you can use in your applications. And now watch, they all have names. So if I wanted to add a cloud, all I want is put the name cloud. And usually you have other options for each one of them. For example, bold, would be not filled. Bold fill will have it filled, and then you can choose the color you want. And then bold circle, it will have a circle around it. Bold circle and fill, it will have it filled as well. So you have tons of these. For example, if I want to search for a particular one, you can type in here, for example, cloud, and then you will see we have a lot of clouds. All right, and then you can just simply use any of these. I'm using this one, cloud.fill, in my example. So this is SF symbols. So we go back to our code. Let's add that image again. We will call that image. And then we will, this one, we will use a system name. And the system name is going to be cloud.fill. But where is it, right? What happened to that cloud? We don't see it. Now, what we need to do for this kind of situation is that you obviously have the background first, and then you need to lay things on top of it. So what do? We usually use a ZStack. A ZStack is used to, if you have multiple views that you want to lay them on top of each other, so your candidate to use is ZStack. So what is a stack? It's simply a way to organize views on your screen. So let's try that and see what happens. If I do ZStack here, ZStack, and it's a container view, so I'm going to put a beginning bracket here, and then with SwiftUI, you have to be careful within these brackets. So right away, when you start a bracket or a content view, right away, put the other closing bracket, because I'm going to cover this, right? So now my cloud appears, all right? Here is my cloud. Now, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look, it's dark. So we need to change the color. Now, what can you do? You can do, for example, foreground color. These are like, these symbols, images are just like fonts. You can change the sizes of them. You can change the color. You can change the position, all that. So let's say foreground color, and I'm going to make it white, for example. So this is a modifier. And now my cloud is white. All right. If I wanted to make it bigger, I can do this. I can say font size, font, and then I'm going to use change the size. So we're going to use system size here, and I'm going to give it a weight. For example, I can make it 30 and see what happened to the cloud. So my cloud looks bigger. Now, that's fine. If you want to move it here, for example, so it will cover the sun, or move it to other side, you could use another modifier. Another modifier, it's called, for example, it's offset. So offset, and then you can give it X or Y. So I'm going to offset it to the left or to the right. If you want to offset it to the left, you give it negative numbers. If you want to offset it to the right, you give it a positive number. So if I say I'm going to offset it by 20 points, now you can see that it moved to the right by 20 points. If you want to offset it down more, you can say I want to offset it, for example, 50 points. Okay. So now it looks a bit better. Now you can make it bigger, obviously. So I can make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to make that 50 and see what happens. No, not too, that's too big. So let's make it 40. All right. Now leave it maybe 35. Okay. That's too small. All right. So now this is my cloud. Again, you can move it anywhere you want. Now, if you want to move it down, all you have to do, you can say Y, for example, 10 pixels, 10 points. Now it moves down by 10 points. All right. So that's the ZStack. That is how we lay out our images. We have a view, we got a view in the background, and we want to stack things on top of it. That's the name of the stack. All right. So now, what about the other things that we have on the screen? If you notice, let me save this, and let me go to the other. Let's show the simulator. Here is the simulator. Notice I have these things in here. Now, I didn't change the color. This is a custom color. I'll show you that maybe now. If you want to add your own custom colors, how do you add your, you can do it with code for sure. Or if you're too lazy and you want to make sure you got the right color, you can go to the assets, you can click on the plus, and then you can click on color sets. So now color set, I can take one of these, for example, and I check the attributes for this guy, and then I can make it whatever color I want. Okay, so I can show the color panel, and I can make it gray color, for example. Okay, like that. And I will just simply give it a name. And the name, instead of color, my color. All right. And then now I can use this color in my application. So if I go back to the content view and I want to use that color, let me just make that bigger again. And I want to use that color instead of white. Instead of white here, where is it? The color, okay, foreground color here. I can do things like this now. Let me just hide that so we have more time, more space. And then I can use here color, and then I can give it a name. Okay, I don't want to do this combination of colors. I'm going to give it the actual name, which is, we called it my color. Okay, why is it not showing? Did I call it my color? For sure. Let's go back to the asset. Oh, I did it wrong. My color without an E. Okay, so we'll put an E back. Okay, hit enter, and then let's go to the content view, and let's see what we got here. My color, we got something, we did something wrong here. Right, let's do that. And then it is should be okay. This my color. Oh, again, I spelled it wrong. My God. Anyway, so you got the idea. I don't like this gray color, but I just want to show you that you could do that. So I'm going to put it back as white color. All right. So that is our first part. Now, what about the other parts that we want to add on the screen? You could do the same thing with these. Now, these are not SF symbols. You can see they are actually, they look like drawn, like a bitmap images. Or so what are these? You can find these images for sure. Or better yet, what we can do, we can add them using emojis. So I can add text here, and then I am going to add, we'll leave that blank for a minute. For example, I can do this. I can put this here, for example, image 1 or surfer 1. Okay, then we're going to have another surfer 2, text. And then I'm going to have these balls. So actually, I'm going to have, I'll explain this in a minute. So we're going to have a ball here, football. And then I'm going to have here volleyball. I'll explain to you why I'm doing this in a minute. All right. So what is happening here? First of all, you can tell they're all on top of each other. Now, it looks these are, for example, they are lined up horizontally. So if you are lining up objects or views on your screen horizontally, we use another stack, which is called horizontal stack. So if I use HStack here, let's see what happens. Again, open bracket and closing brackets. So now what happens? Okay, that looks better. All right. And I don't need this anymore. We'll come back to it in a minute. Let's explore this. So I have these surf 1, surf 2, football, and volleyball. You can all change the orders of these. So if I want to put the football first, so I can Control X and then Control V. Okay. So now I have football, I have the first server, the second server. Okay, good. Now, if I want to move these on the screen, because you can see that they were positioned differently. How can I move these things on the screen? First, let's add the images instead of these actual writing. So I'm going to, in the text, in the editor, you have emoji symbols. So if you can go to emoji symbols, and then you can see for a surfer, okay, I have different surfers. So I can select this surfer, and this is going to be Command X, and I'm going to put it for surfer 1 here, Command V. So it's just that simple. It's an emoji. It's a text like you're sending messages on your WhatsApp or any other platform. So it's a text, and then it just simply appears as an image on your application. For the football, again, we're going to do the same thing. So we go to here, is emojis, edit, emojis, and then I'm going to find a football. So if we go to football, and where are the football? Here they are. So for example, we got the first one was American football. So I'm going to select that. And then we'll put it here. All right. Okay, for the other ones, I'm just going to simply just copy and paste them. I've done them before, so I'm going to copy this guy from this screen and put him in here. And then this guy from this screen, this volleyball, here. All right. So they look okay, but they're flying on the screen, in the sky. That's not right. We wanted to put them different places. So how do we put them in different places? Again, what do we use? We use offset. So let me show you this, the football first. So I'm going to say offset, and then I'm going to give it an X. And it's going to be, I'm going to move it to the left a little bit. So I'm going to say -20. And I'm going to move it, and I'm going to put Y down. I'm going to move it down. So I'm going to say Y is equal to 230, for example. Let's see what happens. So that looks okay. You can move it more to the left if you want by making that, for example, 40, and it moved to the left. One big thing about this, you can change the size just like you've done before. In the other one, you can do font size with the FS symbols. You can do dot system, and then dot size, not parameter size, and then you give it a weight. For example, if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you can make it 40. A little bit bigger, maybe not that, maybe 30. Okay, maybe less than that. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. So we can move it to the left a little bit. So here it is to the left. One thing that I want to show you, if I do border for this guy, let's see what happens. Missing argument. Okay. Why is it missing argument? Let's see. It should. Black. So just needed to make sure that we put the black the color of the frame that you want to put around that view. Watch what happens. The ball is here, but the frame of the text or is still in the original place. So the offset, it does not move the frame or the position, the actual frame of that view. It's just simply moving the content of that view. All right. So keep that in mind when you are working with offsets. Okay. So I'm going to remove that because we don't need it. And you can see what we're going to do. We're going to do the rest, the same thing with the other objects, the other views in here. For example, for the surfer, the first surfer, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do offset. And we're going to say for X, it's going to be 40. Just try it out. And for Y, it's going to be 90. Okay, this looks better. And I'm going to make it the size a bit bigger. So I'm going to say size, no font, dot size, system, dot size. Parameter, not system. And I'm going to make that about 60. And let's see what happens. Okay. So this looks okay. You can move it to the left a little bit more. Let's move it to the left a little bit more. So we can make that instead of 40. Let's make that to the 30. So it's to the left. We can leave it more. But you can see that it doesn't look the surfer guy or this surfer lady is not really, it doesn't matches the image. So what I'm going to do, we can rotate these objects. So there is something called rotation effect. And then you can give it an angle. How much do you want to turn it by? And then I'm going to say the degree, and it's going to be, let's try it 10 degrees, see what happens. Oh, I did it for the ball. We don't want it for the ball. Let's do it for the surfer. Okay, it looks a little bit better. You can make it 15. and see. Yeah, so it matches at least the wave. All right. And then you do the same thing for the other objects. So I've done that already for the other ones. So I'm going to just simply copy these guys and then show it to you here and see what you were going to get. All right, so that's the guy. And then for the ball, the last one, he's in the back. And that's, you can see, you can make the sizes bigger or smaller as, you know, as they appear closer to the screen or not. So for the other one, the last one, we will do the same thing. With offsets, it's very cool too, because you can do animation later on. We will do a lesson on that in the future. Now I put the ball very close to the edge, to the beginning, and you can see it's bigger in comparison to the other views. All right, so that is it for this lesson. First lesson about SwiftUI, how we use stacks. There's a lot more about stacks. There is alignment. There is spacing that we will do more of it in the future. But for that, I think we have a good start, a good fun lesson that teaches you about stacks, some of the uh, modifiers that you can use. You can just try them out. You're not going to hurt anything, and then come up with your own cool idea. With that, we are done, and I will see you in the next lesson.